Good morning to those whose consciousness is ascending into the heavenly mind to bring heaven to earth. It is Sunday, I think it's January 29th, 2023. I'm here in my hotel room. I checked into a hotel room for a week fast to separate myself. And as I was waking up this morning, well, the Lord was releasing all kinds of things, but He began to release out of Isaiah chapter 51, verse 16, I believe it is, where it says, I have put my words in your mouth and covered you with the shadow of my hand, that I may plant the heavens and lay the foundation of the earth, and say unto Zion, thou art my people. I'm just going to speak to this really quickly, and then I'm going to release some other things, and then I'll come back to this. But what this is speaking of is planting heaven and earth. That is speaking of us living in both heaven and on earth. Our DNA was designed, we were designed to live from both heaven and on earth. And we see this in Jesus. Jesus is our forerunner. And in John chapter 3, verse 13, Jesus speaks of this. He says, no man has ascended, he's speaking of himself, no man has ascended up to heaven, but he that came down from heaven, the Son of Man who is in heaven. This is before he ascended after the cross. He's speaking while he was on the earth. He said, no man has ascended up to heaven, to the third heaven, but he that came down from heaven, the Son of Man who is in heaven. So Jesus was saying, I'm on earth and I'm in heaven, and I bring heaven to earth. And you can say, well, how did Enoch then ascend into heaven if no man has ascended up to heaven but Jesus? Well, Enoch entered in through Christ. Through the revelation of the cross, he entered into Christ and ascended. And Jesus, of course, is the only way to ascend into the third heaven. The New Age and occult counterfeit this through living from the second heaven, which is where demonic principalities and powers and the rulers of the darkness of this age are currently ruling from. I want to release a word as I was waking on my bed. This was released to me by Holy Spirit, and so I posted on Facebook, so I'm just going to read from the post I released. The single eye. We see through the lens of duality, through the knowledge of good and evil, for we are making judgment of what is good and evil. But to be like God is to know good and evil, but only choose the good in the surrendered will of love. And then you will begin to see not good and evil separation, but you will see oneness. This is to remove the plank from your eye. This vision ushers in the restoration of all things. You see, it was in God's purpose for man to eat of the tree of the knowledge and good and evil in his sovereign will. For he did not say, if you eat the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. He said, when. When you eat the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, you shall surely die. There shall be a separation in our relationship. But when they ate of it, God said, they have become like us, knowing good and evil. So when man ate of the tree of knowledge of good, they became like God, knowing good and evil. That is, we entered into free will. But see, what love is being in a place of free will, but only choosing the good the good way, which is love, which is actually to surrender your will. See, so his purpose was in the beginning, what? Let us make man in our image after our likeness. That did not happen in the garden. He was declaring the ending from the beginning. Has the Lord ever spoken something over you prophetically where it's not really a reality yet in you? That's because he's declaring the ending from the beginning. He sees your ending from the beginning. And so when he said, let us make man in our image after our likeness, he was declaring the ending from the beginning. Let us make man in our image after our likeness. That is, them and us and them, that they may be one. In our image after our likeness, that is righteousness and holiness. In righteousness we abide in him, and in holiness he abides in us, and we become one. Just as the Father and the Son are one, and the Holy Spirit are one. And so, to get to that place, we had to come into free will, and then have to choose to willingly surrender our will to the will of oneness. That is love. That is the love of God. You have the free will, but you only choose the good. And then I quoted out of Isaiah chapter 55, this single eye, only choosing the good. In Isaiah 55 it says, eat that which is good, and let your soul delight itself in fatness. Incline your ear, come unto me, hear, and your soul shall live. And I will make an everlasting covenant with you, even the sure mercies of David. For I have given him for a witness to the people, a leader and a commander to the people. And you shall call a nation which you know not, and nations which know not thee shall come unto thee, because of the Lord thy God, and for the Holy One of Israel, for he has glorified thee. That is speaking of the restoration of all things. That is speaking of Isaiah chapter 60. This is Isaiah 55. Isaiah 60, we see the fulfillment of this, the prophetic fulfillment, when Isaiah 60 says, arise, shine, for thy light has come, and the glory of the Lord has risen upon thee. For behold, darkness shall cover the earth, and gross darkness the people. But the Lord shall arise upon thee, and his glory shall be seen upon thee, and the nations shall come to your light, and kings to the brightness of your rising. Lift up your eyes round about thee, and see, they gather themselves together, they come unto thee. Thy sons come from far, and thy daughters shall be nursed at your side. Then shall you see this oneness. You've surrendered your will to the will of love, and you have a single eye. No longer discerning good and evil of that separation, but you've laid down your will for love to only eat that which is good. Love. Then you shall see and be enlightened, and your heart shall fear and be enlarged. Whoa! Be enlarged for the restoration of all things, as the Father's heart, as he sees, as he looks down from heaven in righteousness. Then thou shalt see and be enlightened, and thine heart shall fear and be enlarged, because the abundance of the sea, the nations shall be converted unto thee. The Christ in you manifested. The abundance of the sea shall be converted unto thee. The forces, the wealth of the nations shall come unto thee. There's the wealth transfer. The multitude of camels shall cover thee, the dromedaries of Midian and Ephah. So see, this is bringing heaven to earth. This is living from the third heaven to bring heaven to earth. When we abide in him and him in us. We abide in him by living in the third heaven, by being in a position to receive his love, to allow that love, that mercy, that love acceptance to flow through us to all people. We have no bitterness, we have no forgiveness in our heart. Then we can abide in the third heaven, in the Father's house. I go to prepare a place for you, that where I am, you may also be, in the Father's house. But then we must build a house for him on earth. Where is the house that you build unto me? Isaiah 66. You see, Isaiah, the whole picture of Isaiah is this mystery of Christ revealed. Christ in you, the hope of glory. This is the book of Revelation, the revelation of Jesus Christ. He is first revealed through a people, through the mystery. The riches of the glory of the mystery is Christ in you, the hope of glory. That glory of Isaiah chapter 60. Colossians 1:27. We were created to live from heaven, to bring it to earth, but we must also build this house. Isaiah 66, where is the house that you build unto me? And where is the place of my rest, where my spirit rests upon you as it rests upon Christ? Because he made a house for the Father, and he brought heaven to earth. We make that house for him as we set our love upon him, as we set our love to be with him and to receive of his words, to receive of the knowing of him, because our desire, our love is just to know him in intimacy. And then he comes and sits upon that truth. It says in Isaiah chapter 16, verse 5. Isaiah 16:5 says, see, these are all Isaiah verses. Isaiah 20:22, the key of David. That's us and him and us. The scroll of Isaiah is being opened in this hour because it is being fulfilled. Isaiah 16:5 says, in mercy the throne is established. That's us in heaven, in our righteousness in him. In mercy the throne is established, and he, speaking of the King of Glory, shall sit upon it in truth. That's in us, in the tabernacle of David. Judging and seeking judgment and hasting righteousness. So Jesus, our forerunner, said, no man has ascended up to heaven, but he that came down from heaven, the Son of Man, who is in heaven. I am on heaven, I'm in heaven, and I'm on earth, and I bring heaven to earth. You know, when I checked into the hotel, they gave me room 304. I was thinking about this morning as I was waking on my bed. Of course, you know, I've been seeking to live from heaven and on earth, bring him to make a house for him. What is 3? 3 represents the third heaven. And what's 4 represent? 4 represents the 4 corners of the earth, for the 4 winds of the earth. It speaks of the earth. So heaven and earth. And then the heater didn't work in my room. And it was like, I don't know, 5 degrees or something last night. And so they gave me a new room. And what's the new room they gave me? 321. So we've got heaven, 3, the third heaven, and then 21 is 3 times 7. It's complete perfection. And what I want to release in regards to that complete perfection is the glorified body. You see, when this is fulfilled, when we truly live from heaven and we've made this house on earth, he gathers us together unto him, and he inhabits us, and then Jerusalem or Zion comes to earth. This people come down in a glorified body and then manifest this revelation to all of creation. It's all in the scriptures, you guys. This is Revelation. We see the New Jerusalem coming down out of heaven. The New Jerusalem is a habitation. It's a city of people who have built a house for him. And we even see this in Isaiah 60. You shall be called the city of the Lord, the Zion of the Holy One of Israel. This is the heavenly Jerusalem coming down out of heaven. Those who are caught up. And so, let's just go to Hebrews chapter 2, verse 5 real quick. I think it's verse 5 where it says, Paul says, for he has not put the age to come in subjection to angels, but one in a certain place testified, saying, that one testifying is David. This is coming out of, he's going to paraphrase out of Psalm chapter 8. But one in a certain place testified, saying, what is man that you are mindful of him, and the Son of Man that you visit him? You've made him a little lower than the angels. What's he talking about there? But some people say, well, no, it really means he made them a little lower than God. No, that's not what he's talking about. He's talking about he made us a little lower than the angels, meaning he gave us a physical body that was subject to death. It becomes really clear if we read the context. People jump off onto these things. What is man that thou art mindful of him, and the Son of Man that you visited him? You made him a little lower than the angels. You crowned him with glory and honor. You gave him dominion over the work of your hands, and has put all things under his feet. In that you have put all things under him, there is nothing not put under him. But now we do not yet see all things put under him. Why? Because of the fall of man, and man is not living from heaven and on earth. We're not bringing heaven to earth. That's our destiny. Jesus came to show us that way. But now we do not yet see all things put under him, but we see Jesus, who was made a little lower than the angels. He was given a physical body. What does it say in Philippians? He found himself in fashion as a man. He humbled himself and became obedient unto death, even the death of the cross. Wherefore God has highly exalted him and made him King of Kings, Lord of Lords. Right? So it's really plain what this is talking about. But we see Jesus, who is made a little lower than the angels, a physical body, which is subject to death. He made Jesus, who is a little lower than the angels, for the suffering of death, crowned with glory and honor, that he, by the grace of God, should taste death for every man. For it became him for whom all things and by whom all things, and bringing many sons unto glory, to receive this glorified body. Bringing many sons unto glory. That's the Isaiah 66. Isaiah 60. Well, it's all the way Isaiah 60 through 66, really. But it became him for whom all things and by whom all things, and bringing many sons unto glory, to make the captain. That word captain is the Greek word arche, I believe. It means first in line, first in a rank or file, our forerunner. It's another word for forerunner. And we see Jesus as our forerunner plainly declared in Hebrews chapter 6, where it speaks of the two immutable things by which it is impossible for God to lie. Speaking of the two immutable, unchangeable things of the covenant, what are those? The blood of the covenant, the mercy, and the promise or the oath of the covenant, which is the truth, mercy and truth. This covenant is the covenant of the Lord's Supper. It's the covenant of that David speaks about, this table prepared in the presence of our enemies. It's this covenant of love, to abide in him and him in you, on earth and in heaven. the two immutable things by which it is impossible for God to lie, we might have strong consolation who have fled for refuge. Where is the refuge? In the secret place. It is in the Father's hands. Deuteronomy chapter 33 verse 27 says, God is our refuge, and underneath are the everlasting arms. The refuge is his hands. His hands go before his face. Mercy and truth go before his face. We've surrendered our lives to him, to his love. I'm just releasing a lot of different things here. Who have fled for refuge to lay hold of the hope set before us. Which hope? What is that? Christ in you, the hope of glory, the glorified body. When he comes in, when the King of Glory comes in, Psalm 24, lift up your heads, O ye gates, the gates of Zion, this people that have made a house for him, a habitation. Lift up your heads, O ye gates. The gates of Zion, it says in Isaiah 60 verse 18, is the gates of Zion are praise. They're praising him because that's all they want, is the King of Glory to come in. They're looking for him. When you begin to see these things happen, look up. The beginning of sorrows, Jesus said, look up and lift up your heads, for your redemption draws nigh, the redemption of your body as I come in. Oh. Lift up your heads, O ye gates, and be lifted up, ye everlasting doors, and the King of Glory shall come in. Who is this King of Glory? The Lord strong and mighty, the Lord mighty in battle. Lift up your heads, O ye gates, and be lifted up, ye everlasting doors, and the King of Glory shall come in. Who is this King of Glory? The Lord of hosts. He is the King of Glory. Selah. Where was I? I'm somewhere else right now. We were created to live from heaven and on earth. Yes. Back to Hebrews chapter 2. Thanks, Holy Spirit. For it became him, for whom all things, and by whom all things, and bringing many sons unto glory, this glorified body, Christ in you, the hope of glory, and bringing many sons unto glory, to make the captain of their salvation perfect through suffering. For both he that sanctifieth and they who are sanctified, or who are being sanctified, are all of one. For which cause he is not ashamed to call them brethren, saying, I will declare your name unto my brethren. That's a quote out of Psalm 22, David's revelation of the cross. I will declare, and of course Jesus said that, right? He said in John 17, I have declared your name unto my brethren, and will declare it. This is John 17:24. I have declared your name unto my brethren, and will declare it. Jesus is saying, I'm going to declare it at the cross. What is his name? Love. He is love. I have declared your name unto my brethren, and will declare it, that the love wherewith you have loved me may be in them, and I in them. Because in this name is mercy and truth. Let us make man in our image, after our likeness. For it became him, for whom all things, and by whom all things, and bringing many sons unto glory, to make the captain of their salvation perfect through suffering. For both he that sanctifieth and they who are sanctified are all of one, for which cause he is not ashamed to call them brethren, saying, I will declare your name unto my brethren. In the midst of the congregation will I praise thee.